I mean, there are some, but not many, who go out without their makeup on. Yeah, so that there's kind of something built in about the deep need to be attractive, and this I mean, this is true to the body. You know, it's true to the body, because the female genitals are attractive. You know, they attract. It's an opening. Yeah, it's in and male sexuality likewise is always going to have a predatory aspect to it. You know, it goes forward, it goes in, it's penetrative, and it's like it's a hunting kind of sexuality. So you know, we have to deal with these basic things happening at a chromosome level. At the same time, the tremendous sophistication of society, where we don't want to exploit, or we want to be equal, and things like that. It's very, very complex. It's very, so the real thing is when we go to this kind of black and white, good bad thing, where I see it's terribly bad for is, so young men growing up under a very feminist regime, perhaps with very feminist mothers, they start integrated terrible idea about masculinity, and that's becomes transgenerational. That's really damaging, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, where it starts, you know, we could all say Harvey Weinstein's a monster. Yeah, for sure. But, you know, hang on a minute. These girls weren't auditioning to be nuns. They were going into Hollywood, you know. They wanted to become starlets, sex starlets. I mean, everybody knows that happens in Hollywood, don't we? I mean, isn't that what goes on? The casting couch?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a level of naivety.
It's, you know, and then you have the right to say no. And you can say no when you are strict enough. And if you don't do it, that's your responsibility. But it comes to my mind an episode of my life. When I came to Italy, I was 30 years old, and I wanted to study singing. And the first day I didn't have, it was ordered for me from the language school a room, but it didn't arrive. I didn't have an address, so I didn't know where to go the first night. And so, you know, I was at the station, and all these men come and want to bring you somewhere, and At the end, I sort of trusted one, and he brought me in a pension, but I had my own room and nothing. He tried to everything, and I said no. Okay, this was the first impression of Italy. But I knew it, you know, because in Italy the men are like blah 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 blah. And then it was a similar episode, and then I said no, and then I said no again, and I said the third time no, and he really went away, and I was look at that. And I felt in myself there was a disappointment, because this is the old ancient joke between men and women, that women have to say no, you know, and then the more often you say no and there is still interest, you feel somehow interesting, you know. But it was for me like a revelation, you know. Oops. Okay, here you are back. That was a sort of a revelation that I'm a feminist. No.
Yeah, tell me the disappointment, because it's a very interesting story.
The disappointment was that when I said no, he really went away. Because I sort of expected if I'm valid enough and attractive enough, he would continue, you know. So this is the old game, a very, very old game, which is still in us. We can say yes or no, but it's still, it's you know, it's the 50 years of feminism haven't really changed anything in the thousands of years of human history, you know. So
yes, that's right. That's right. And I think that's a wonderful story. I really love that story, and we know that Italian males are quite particular in that regard. And in fact, my son who now lives in Sweden, he used to live in Italy, and he was working on building sites in Rome. And he said he got completely fed up with this kind of male thing, that everybody, you know, the way the guys are talking about women constantly in an insane way. But in a way, what you're saying is very interesting, because let's imagine you stayed with the no and he stayed with the yes, and you could almost stay there indefinitely. And there you've got this balance between masculinity and femininity, which is it's very ancient, you know. So that if the daughter is really been taught well by her parents that she's precious and that she can say no, then the moment she shifts to the yes, this is absolutely a transformative moment. And so it's not just a quick fuck, you know, it's something really deep happening. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it needs some reason why you say yes, you know. And so for me, the feminism in many ways has also ruined the relationships between men and women in a certain sense, not completely, no, because many things which were before I don't agree with and don't accept them. But what did I want to say?
Made flirtation very difficult.
That's for sure, but I wanted to say something else, which is now gone away. Let me see if I get that one. Yeah, because women try to be like men, because our role model was a man. We didn't have a woman. How is a free woman? So what we did automatically is try to get the man in bed, you know. So we missed this step of being value, and then say yes in the moment when you see that the partner is valid to your yes. We just sort of throw us away. And I think it's still going on very much, that thing. And that is counterproductive to our growth, to our own growth, in the name of feminism, that we now have the choice. But we throw ourselves under the rug practically, and this is really not a good thing, because we are different, men and women, for being safe in sexuality, we need, without wanting to hurt us, we need a safe space, and we need trust in the partner. And so many women did sexuality, including also me, which is not right, you know, which is hurting more than anything else. So in many ways, I'm thinking that feminism was necessary and has brought up certain things, and it's good. And in that level, it could have continued. But as it then developed in this becoming worse than men, I don't think that was the right thing.
You know, I think there's to go back to our previous conversation, there's two pieces of developmental psychology that haven't yet come in, which are needed there. And I think the first thing is that women, they need to see a model in their mothers and their grandmothers that women are sexual beings, and that they really, it's about them. And to know that they can say yes or no, without becoming a whore or whatever, And so in a way, they need to see the image is like the mother who's really in her vagina. And unfortunately, Christianity has got the opposite icon. It's got the Virgin Mother, which doesn't make any sense to my body. And then I think they also need, that's the most important, but the other thing, they need to see the man who's in his heart. So what they get with Weinstein is just, you know, an image of a man who is his dick, and they even say, well, that's all men, but it's not true. And it's also very belittling to those of us who try to want to balance our heart and our genitals, you know. It's so anyway, we're still very young as a society.
Absolutely. And these movements are very young. And we come back to the same thing, that sometimes we exaggerate. As you said before, the parties exaggerated. In the public life, we as humans exaggerate completely. We don't know where the boundaries are, where up to where it is good for us and where it's not good anymore. And so that comes back to what I say, the personal development is on the first place, because the politics is made of people, and people, if they are not mature, what do you expect?
And I, whilst I understand and have sympathies with Me Too, the movement itself, it feels to me like a movement of 12-year-old girls. You know, it's immature.
Absolutely.
And that's why I like Camille Paglia on the set. She's great on this. She says that the Italian women were taught to, you know, say, fuck off, Stronzo, you know, you don't want to deal with me.
And that's exactly what I wanted to say in the example I gave you before. The Italian man, he at the end respects, you know. A German man of a certain kind, I'm not sure, you know. So that's what I found it positive, this experience at the end, that when you say no, it means no. And then they go, you know. In Germany, probably somebody like this of the same mindset, they would have stalked you for a long time because they haven't won with you. And it's so important to be a man and win with you. So, okay. So,
okay, nice to chat with you.
Yeah, it was good. And see you another time.
Another time. Okay.